Well, the game of football has taught me so many things, man. Now, think about the huddle we have right now, right? I tell people this all the time. There's a reason why they call it a huddle. People have been huddling all their lives, trying to find ways to enhance each other's lives. The great teams do that all the time. The great teams do that. The better the huddle, the better the team. And so it's simple, man, how if you huddle for all the right reasons, we wouldn't have Ferguson. We wouldn't have some of the challenges that we have in our society. But as we all know, there's always a moment when somebody doesn't belong in the huddle. And yet we have to continue to move on. We got to continue to play. So the game of life, man, is always starting with the huddle. And for me, I'm lucky enough to know that, by the graces of God, man, it's been a nice huddle. It's been a nice huddle. And if I just keep making sure that he's in front of me, I'm gonna be all right.
Welcome to FootballGameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bringing you our 2017 AFC wildcard preview between the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we're going to start this video off by taking a look at some keys to victory for both teams in this matchup. Starting with the Dolphins in this ballgame, they have to remain gap sound versus the run. That's first and foremost when you're facing not only a rushing attack like Pittsburgh, but a running back like Le'Veon Bell. You can't give him second chance opportunities to create because he's outstanding in that department. I thought in the first matchup versus Pittsburgh, they did a great job remaining gap sound and really shut down a running game. They also have to continue to make plays in space defensively. Again, going back to that first matchup, I thought they did a great job in that department at the second level. Guys flying to the football in the short to intermediate passing game, rallying up, making a tackle, and getting off the field. In a running game, they were able to make plays outside in space, and if they can continue to do that, they have a chance. Offensively, I think it's about exploiting the advantage they have on the perimeter. I like the matchup in favor of Miami with their receiving core versus the secondary of Pittsburgh. You look at guys like Jarvis Landry, Kenny Stills, Devontae Parker, even Jakeem Grant in the passing game. I would utilize him more in the passing game as opposed to trying to put him in the backfield like Tyreek Hill. He's more of a receiver than a running back, so I would exploit that matchup as well. So again, when you look at the four receivers that they have at their disposal, they have a great chance to win those one-on-one battles, and not even counting the tight ends like Deion Sims and Marquise Gray. Those guys can also have some success in this ball game versus Pittsburgh. So again, exploit the matchups that they have on a perimeter. I think that could help them win this game versus Pittsburgh. Moving over to the Steelers in this ballgame, they can't allow the Miami Dolphins to get the edge in the running game. The Dolphins want to run off tackle. They did so very well in the first matchup and have done so very well all season long. If they force Miami to go north and south as opposed to east and west where they have that speed trying to get on the perimeter, I think that's a win for Pittsburgh defensively. So it's up to Stephon Tuitt and company to make sure they anchor down and force Miami to play a north and south game. And speaking of going north and south, to me, that's where Pittsburgh has to play in this contest. I think at times throughout the course of a game offensively, they get a little bit too enamored with the east-west game and forget about going north and south. I think they can win those battles going downhill within their running game and their passing game, not throwing a lot of bubble screens or slip screens, things like that, but just going vertical down the field, making it a north and south game. I think, in my opinion, favors Pittsburgh. And they can't be afraid to send extra. They're not facing Ryan Tannehill. They're facing a guy in Matt Moore who is a very good quarterback, but he's inexperienced on the season as far as he didn't face Pittsburgh that first time. So you can throw some creative looks at him. You can force him off the spot. You can get extra aggressive, especially when you have speed guys like Ryan Shazier blitzing down the middle. This is a rematch between two teams that played earlier with Miami and Pittsburgh. And when you have rematch games, it's all about the adjustments and new wrinkles that you throw within your game plan. And in this particular play I'm going to draw up, it's about Miami utilizing the personnel that they have in their backfield to generate a big play on the ground. Show you what I'm talking about here. Full house backfield, diamond backfield, quarterback, Damian Williams, Jay Ajayi, and rookie Kenyon Drake. I love the personnel that they have. Drake is an explosive guy, and what we're going to do is try to get him a clear path to the end zone by utilizing the old option play that you see in football, 3-4 defense. And what we're going to do is leave these two guys unblocked because those are going to be our read guys. So what you're going to do is try to get everyone going this way, bringing Drake around and getting him hopefully into the end zone. So what you're going to do is have this guy work his way up, possibly get this backer. Going to have a combo block here on this nose tackle. That's going to be important. Getting this guy blocked, work back to this backer, have him work up to this backer. So now you have the backside block. You're reading the tackle and you're reading the backer. So what you're going to do is have the quarterback slowly run out this way and try to give the dive like the option to Damian Williams. Hopefully he's taking away this guy, and if he's taking away him, then it's a clear sailing to the end zone. Jay Ajayi is a decoy on this play. He's going to go out and lead block and hopefully get this safety block. And if this guy does his job and not take the dive guy, 5-tech takes the dive guy, outside backer's job is now to work on the quarterback. And that's when you have Kenyon Drake on the pitch. In this 88 out the gate, wide receiver blocks corner. Jay Ajayi blocks the safety. Kenyon Drake with that speed and explosiveness is going down the sideline, hopefully running for a touchdown. So again, rematch games are all about adjustments, new wrinkles, and I think now with the Dolphins being able to run the football like they did in the first meeting, finding new creative ways to take advantage of Pittsburgh's aggressiveness could lead them to a touchdown. I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers have a unique opportunity to disrupt the interior offensive line of the Miami Dolphins. From the first meeting, you look at Mike Pouncey being in the game, effective, having that offensive line in tune, which is why they were able to run the football very well against Pittsburgh. Now they're going to face Craig Urbick at the center position. I think getting interior pressure against that Dolphins offensive line could be beneficial. Show you what we're talking about here. We're going to get A-gap pressure. And when you have a guy that's not as explosive or not as quick coming out of his stance or being able to redirect against these quick and fast linebackers and defensive linemen of Pittsburgh, it could be a problem when the Dolphins go into a spread formation. So we're going to put Ryan Shazier here. We're going to have Javon Hargrave. I think he's going to be the biggest X factor in this game. We'll talk about that later on in the video. But when you look at the fact you put this guy over the center, a guy that's not as explosive with quick defensive linemen, it's going to force him to panic a little bit and try to cheat and overset. So what you want to do is send double A-gap pressure and also slant pressure toward either side. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get Javon Hargrave to push up and over into the A-gap. We're going to send Ryan Shazier with that speed going right down the opposite A-gap. So now he's going to have to pick a side. Whichever side he chooses, he's going to try to get help. Probably he's going to get help with this defensive lineman. So now we're going to slant that 5 technique inside. Or if we don't want to slant him inside because we maybe want to play coverage over here, we're going to keep him outside with contain. We're going to send speed going down this way. So now we have 1, 2, 3 guys attacking one side of the formation. Center's going to have to choose, probably draw a double team. Backer's probably going to go free, or Ryan Shazier is going to disrupt this play because of how fast he's able to get from point A to point B. Backside is going to be nothing but the same here. Could probably drop this guy. Whatever coverage you want to play here, replace backer, drop back in the middle. Could be cover 3. So whatever coverage you want to run, that's irrelevant to the point. The point of this entire play that we drew up is to try to influence this guy into making a bad choice, because the Steelers have the unique personnel to send speed down the A-gap. They're aggressive and versatile with their defensive line. They're playing at a high level right now in the playoffs, and I think that's going to be the biggest piece of this game that they're going to have to win if they want to knock off the Dolphins.
In my opinion, the biggest X factor in this game for the Miami Dolphins is Kenyon Drake, the rookie running back out of Alabama. They have to find ways to get him more involved in this ball game. He's a tremendous player with a lot of speed and explosiveness. I think they have to find ways to get him and Jay Ajayi in the same backfield at the same time because of what Drake can do in the passing game. He can exploit matchups one-on-one versus those Steeler linebackers or safeties. You get him out in space, and he can not only win those matchups, but he is a guy that has the speed and explosiveness to take the distance. So again, the Dolphins coaching staff has to find ways to get both guys involved in the running game and also in the passing game. And we look at Pittsburgh's X factor in this game. I'm going with the fellow 2016 rookie in Javon Hargrave, the nose tackle. This is the guy I think has the speed and explosiveness off the ball to really take advantage of Craig Urbick, who's the starting center in this ball game. Last matchup, it was about Mike Pouncey and what he can do up front, and got everybody lined up properly, got everybody firing off the football. You have a different center now that's not as explosive or not as dominant within the running game or in his pass set. So this is where a young, fresh rookie like Javon Hargrave can take full advantage of that and find himself in the backfield a lot in this ball game. I like Pittsburgh in this ball game. I think a lot of lessons can be learned by both teams from that first meeting. I think when you look at Pittsburgh, their offensive line and defensive line, quite honestly, got manhandled up front by the Miami Dolphins. They come into this game playing a lot better, winners of 7 straight. They're healthier up front than are the Miami Dolphins, and I think that's where they'll win this rematch game versus Miami. They'll win up front on both sides. They'll frustrate the pocket for Matt Moore and look for Le'Veon Bell to have a much better day on the ground, which will then open up the play-action pass, which will allow Ben Roethlisberger to attack the secondary deep down the field.